The areas of Coigach and Assynt are in the northwest of Scotland. It encompasses rugged coastlines, offshore islands, blanket bog and freshwater lochs. There are iconic mountains and geological areas of international importance. It includes many areas of significant biological importance with both protected species and habitats. It is also a landscape that has been affected by historic land use. The forests and habitats are fragmented, the communities are economically fragile and dispersed, but these are also communities that are intrinsically linked with their land. The area of over 60,000 hectares is one of the most sparsely populated in Europe, with the economy mainly relying on fishing and crofting, as well as tourism that is biased towards the area's natural and cultural heritage. Coigach Assynt Living Landscape Partnership, or CALL, is a landscape partnership comprising of 12 partners. It is a £3 million landscape partnership project that is funded by the Heritage Lottery Funds. There is a diverse range of projects to be delivered that will see both the heritage of the Coigach and Assynt areas better understood and managed, and the communities more skilled and living in a better place. The main partner is Scottish Wildlife Trust. Mark Foxwell, Reserves Manager, wants to conserve and improve the area's woodland.
One of the things you notice about Coigach and Assynt is the fact that there's very little woodland here. In fact, there's about 40 woodlands, but they're all like this. They're all tiny little patches of wood. You won't find any regeneration. The trees are all quite old, and basically year after year these woodlands are shrinking. So we have a project to protect these woodlands, to start to expand them and to try and connect them together. That's not to say we're going to blanket Coigach and Assynt with trees. There are lots of other really important habitats. We've got blanket bogs and wet heath, and these are of an international importance. We'll be employing a forester, and this forester will meet up with landowners and make their plans come true. As part of our bid, we've got a large amount of money which we want to use to encourage landowners and crofters, whether it's school or whatever. If you have an idea for native woodland, whether it's a really small area or maybe something a bit more significant, come and talk to us. It's a real opportunity to help to protect some of the Assynt woodlands.
As a key part of the woodland expansion programme, Coigach and Assynt Living Landscapes project employs Nick Clooney to grow native tree species.
Well, this is the Little Assynt Tree Nursery, and we grow native trees grown from local stock. So we collect all the seeds ourselves from the local woodlands, and we plant them and we grow them on to produce trees for replanting around the existing woodlands and extending the woodland areas to improve the woodland stock of the area. These are older seeds, for instance, we're just processing at the moment, so they produce these little cones, and when we shake and sieve and sift them, we end up with a nice quantity of seed out of them. So that nice clean seed will be sown in the spring, and off we go. We'll have a new crop of older trees. So after collecting the seeds, the next stage is to grow them into trees. So once the seeds have been planted, hopefully they grow, and we end up with some nice healthy looking trees like this. These are birch and some willow, alders and some rowans as well, hazels at the front. So all the different species, these have been raised and graded, ready to go. Part of the CALL project is to extend local woodlands, improve the natural habitats. Very important to use as much local genetic stock as we can to do that, because that's really the plants that are going to do best, going to produce the best woodland for all the other species to move into.
Coigach and Assynt have thousands of years' worth of varied history. This history can be seen in the landscape, from the world-famous bone caves to the cairns and brochs that are found throughout the landscape. Historic Assynt is a local community group that works to preserve and enhance this historic and cultural heritage. At Clachtall, Gordon Slate, from the Historic Trust, hopes to see the broch excavated and restored.
Okay, well, we began work on the broch here at Clachtall in 2006 when local people expressed concern about the entrance area, and it took us several years of surveying and analysis to create the right kind of understanding of what was going wrong to be able to undertake some work in 2011 to stabilize the whole of this entrance area. But in the process of that work, we also discovered that in all probability the broch fell down probably very suddenly, and that therefore underneath all of this rubble there may well be the remains of an Iron Age homestead undisturbed since the day the broch fell. And so we devised a project to excavate the whole of the interior, part of the exterior, and regain access to all of the chambers in the walls. We were very concerned that it was going to cost a lot of money, and as a very small organisation, were we going to be able to raise that money? And so we came together at the same time as other groups in Assynt and Coigach and put all of those projects into the Landscape Partnership bid. And by doing that together, we are now getting the funding for the first stage of that work. For this particular project, that initial funding will allow us to develop the excavation plans, but also improve access to the structure when we finish the excavation. We hope that people will be able to walk in through the entrance, explore the central space, go into the chambers, creating a really good experience here so that people have some sense of who was living here, what they were doing.
Viv Halkrow is Project Manager for COL and is very involved in developing the Landscape Partnership. Along with the 12 partners, the project aims to improve local communities.
Coigach Assynt Living Landscape. It's a big and exciting project. It's big in terms of scale. The project area is over 60,000 hectares and it stretches from in the south, Strathcanyard, up to Kyleskew in the north. It's also big in terms of longevity and it's got a 40-year vision. It's a project which aims to benefit people and communities, conservation charities and private landowners. So it's kind of trying to move away from the idea of managing smallish bits of land like nature reserves and make it into much more landscape wide. We realised pretty early on that it was going to be easier to achieve all those projects if we could attract a big chunk of money. So we got together with some new partners, and last year we applied to the Heritage Lottery Fund, and we were delighted to hear in late October last year we got through the first stage of that process, and we've conditionally been awarded £3 million to carry out project work, but it will also enable us to employ at least 5 people, so that's going to be quite significant in this area. The original partnership of Coigach and Assynt landowners was made up of 5 different landowners, so we had 2 conservation charities, which was the Scottish Wildlife Trust, John Muir Trust, and also 2 community landowners, Coigach Community Woodland Trust, who look after 2 different areas within Assynt.
The Coigach salmon fisheries aims to restore salmon bothies to working condition. COL will allow bothies that have fallen into disrepair to be restored and used again in the future. There is also an associated ice house which has the potential for renovation. Another community-owned trust is the Isle Martin Trust, which owns Isle Martin, which is just off the coast of Coigach. The trust hopes to hold rural skills courses on the island. The Assynt Foundation is another founding partner. and Andy Summers is on their board of directors.
So in 2005, people of Assynt now own all this land that we can see around here, including Sullivan and Canis and Coolmore and Stackpolly and all these wonderful mountains. Our challenge is, of course, now is we're trying to realise the ambitions of what the people want. I think people want a sustainable economy here, which is a very, very fragile area, Loch Inver roundabout. So it's a fragile community, and we want to see people thriving here, but also the wildlife as well. And one of the aspirations of the foundation is to set up some new crofts and get some people living on the estate again, growing crops and having cattle. It's always been a deer stalking estate, and there's a lot of red deer there. And so we have this challenge to try and get the balance between having deer, or we want to balance that with deer stalking. Deer stalking is a valuable income for the estate. It always will be. And we're trying to promote more ecotourism, wildlife viewing opportunities. I think we have to be innovative. We're here in this amazing landscape, amazing wildlife, and we've got to realise some of the opportunities that it gives us. So we're trying to create a resource that will bring people into the area and help the economy and make us the whole community more thriving and more sustainable for the future.
The overall purpose of the Coigach Assynt Living Landscape project is to carry out lots of project work locally which will have a long-term benefit to the people that live here as well as for habitats. We hope that it will show that communities and nature can work together for the benefit of all.
The Coigach Assynt Living Landscape Partnership aims to improve the land. To do this, the land needs to be better understood, but it also needs to be better managed, with both the wildlife and the communities in mind. Fran Lockhart with the John Muir Trust manages its Coigach Reserve.
So at the back of me here we've got Ardvar Woodlands, which is owned by the John Muir Trust, and it's part of the Call area. And we're trying to manage the deer sustainably here to get the numbers down low enough so that trees can regenerate without fencing. And what we do every year is we come back and we have seedlings throughout the area in certain bits with little tags on them and with a GPS reading. And we go back and we measure these seedlings every year to see how much they've grown. Now, quite often you'll go back and you'll find that they've maybe grown a centimetre, and you think, oh wow, well, it's grown, but actually a centimetre is nothing. They should be growing, 10 centimetres in a year, even in quite an exposed area like this. So every year we come back and we find these seedlings again, and we measure them and record it, and then we work out the sort of average height gain over the year or loss as part of the deer management, because traditionally deer management was done on a number scale, and deer were counted and then it was decided how many should be culled. But as numbers have grown over the years, the more scientific method of doing it now is doing it according to the impact on the habitat. And also part of our management, because we don't use fencing, obviously you get some deer coming in, but then that's okay, that's fine, because deer are part of the woodland. Whereas if you put up a fence, you kind of create almost a very sterile atmosphere and there's no disturbance. And you do need trees to get nipped out, because it's not for commercial woodland, it's for natural woodland. One of the other things we hope to do is provide funding through the CALL project for local people who are involved with deer management to do a sustainable deer management course through the University of the Highlands and Islands. A lot of people just think, oh, you're going to shoot all the deer, but that's not the case at all. I mean, we actually employ people to work here, and we contribute to the local economy by doing that. And we have a local stalker who does our stalking for us, and a lot of the meat that he gets goes back into the local food chain. It would be good to demonstrate through the CALL project why it's important to get these habitats back before it's too late.
This is a rugged, wild landscape, but it is also a home to the species it contains and to the people who live in it. The CALL Landscape project aims to improve the environment and make it work better for those communities that live in it. CALL hopes to encourage tourism by improving local resources. The Summer Isles attract many visitors to the area, and especially to Tanarramore, where they can visit the island's holiday cottages and cafe. Tanarramore is managed by Lizzie and Richard Williams.
So we're here on Tanarramore. It is the largest of the Summer Isles archipelago. It's about 800 acres.
So we're heading up to the north end of the island, which is sort of where the tourist hub of the place is, in a way, where the cafe and post office are, and where 3 of the self-catering cottages are. And this is the main spot where visitors come, particularly day trippers, when they come to the island.
So we became involved with the Cool Partnership about 4 years ago. It's been a great experience for us to work with other landowners in the area. Moving forward, we hope to expand the range of activities that can be offered on Tanarra. In the old walled garden, we want to sort of rekindle this as it was originally an orchard. There's ancient apple trees running down one side. There's also some cherry in here as well. And see if we can get some cultivation going and have a product that can be used on the island and sold locally.
Chris Goodman is Footpath Officer for the John Muir Trust. Specialist skills are used to improve paths in the Coll area.
We've used a local contractor here over the last 4 years, so it just kind of helps keep them going with 2 or 3 months' work kind of on the local hill each year. So it's all kind of money that's going back into the local community. One of the paths that we're looking at through the Cool project is on Sylvan, so it's probably the most iconic hill in the area, and it's fairly expensive work to sort of consolidate what's there and do the repairs. And through the Cool project, John Muir Trust have put in their staff time to help survey it and sort of identify the work that needs doing. And then the Assynt Foundation, who are the landowner, can then take that forward as one of their projects into the Cool project. And then Cool have got the money, or some of the money, through Heritage Lottery Fund to help fund it. So it's that kind of working in partnership, bringing in expertise from one organisation and funding from another. It all kind of pulls everything together and hopefully helps get bigger projects done in the area that maybe wouldn't get done otherwise.
In Lochinver, the children of the community are introduced to their natural and cultural heritage from a young age with the Forestry Schools project. Fiona Saywell from Coigach Community Woodlands and Romany Garrett, Outreach Officer for Coll, help the children to learn about their woodlands.
The aim of this is to link in with the curriculum for the schools, because a large part of it now is to link the outdoors with the schools. It's not just about staying in the classrooms. Things like this are great for them. They're like problem solving, and they're getting rid of excess energy, and it suits some children that aren't sort of great in the classroom to come out here and do different things. All these kids are very familiar with these woods anyway, and it's just great that we can use it for education.
If people aren't connected to it, I don't think they're going to care about it very much. So really I'm trying to connect people to their landscape and to care about it. So this outdoor woodland learning is this kind of starting with the children really, and getting them connecting with their environment, happy in the woods, learning about how to look after their woodland and how to feel at home in it.
The Coigach Assynt Living Landscape Partnership is a unique community project which aims to bring both environmental and economic benefits to the Coigach and Assynt regions of northwest Scotland. As one of Europe's largest landscape-scale projects, which lasts until 2020, it will bring together many different communities and landowners with a single goal of achieving a truly living landscape.